First and foremost, amongst those for the workability is draft dodgers. There is a pretty widespread history of draft evasion and draft avoidance, which is the difference between the two is the same difference between tax evasion and tax avoidance, which we discussed in this class, so I'm hoping I don't need to go into too much detail with that. There's quite a history of that in many countries that institute conscription, and the US especially has a rather egregious example of that with the Vietnam War. According to the selective service system, between the years of 1964 and 1973, approximately 1.8 million men were conscripted for the Vietnam War. However, not all of those attended. Many of them avoided the draft through legal means, sometimes by getting deference as students or conscientious objectors, meaning they object to participating in the war on some sort of moral standpoint. Some of them joined the National Guard or other military roles that were generally unlikely to see combat in order to get out of the dangerous military service. Others took advantage of the fact that in order to get into the military, you had to pass a medical exam, so they faked it. And hundreds of thousands just exaggerated medical problems and got out of it. Let's see here. Approximately, avoiding the draft was labeled as a felony crime, and approximately 210,000 were charged with avoiding the draft, including Muhammad Ali, actually. But the charges against him were dropped. There was an amnesty act put into place by the president at the time. And even hundreds of thousands of others beyond that were not charged at all. So there is a significant issue with people avoiding conscription in the US. So there is good reason to believe that if made a permanent military fixture, that this problem would become even greater spread. Another large problem with the workability is in the cost of it, specifically in the fact that the military only really recoups its cost for training the recruits if they re-enlist. And if a person is forced to join, if they have no desire to join, then there's a very good chance that they won't enlist at all, according to the Hoover Institute. And then the military will basically have to eat that cost. And so it will become progressively more and more expensive as time goes by. In terms of disadvantages, one of the large ones is that war sucks. And especially for people who have no inclination for any type of military work. According to the New York, well, that was the wrong thing. According to BBC, BBC History, in regards to when Great Britain had the draft instated, numerous soldiers, let's see, they committed suicide, they fell into very severe depression, the general morale of the army was damaged because they were just unhappy the entire time and unwilling to cooperate. They lost out on education opportunities, on social and romantic opportunities, on career opportunities, all because they were forced to enter the military for a number of years. Another disadvantage is in terms of money making. According to militaryfactory.com and its 2012 military pay chart, regardless of how high of an officer you are, even at the highest rank, if you serve for 2 years or less, it is not possible to make $100,000. So that's 2 years lost with less than $100,000 of money made from it, which, if you're the primary breadwinner for your household, can be potentially financially crippling for your house. And especially if you die in the course of your 2 years of service. Currently, the military only pays out $100,000 to the families of dead soldiers, which, again, if you're the primary breadwinner and the only breadwinner, as is in the case with some families, your family is gonna fall apart if it's only got that much money, and your sick mom and 2 child siblings have to go out and find jobs. Your family's not going to survive very well. But probably the biggest disadvantage to it is on a moral basis, in that conscription is essentially slavery. You are being forced into serious physical labor that is quite often life-threatening without your consent, and that is slavery right there. Numerous political figures have attested as such. Former President Ronald Reagan quotes as saying, "Conscription rests on the assumption that your kids belong to the state. If we buy that assumption, then it is for the state, not for the parents, the community, the religious institutions, or teachers, to decide who shall have what values and who shall do what work, when, where, and how in our society." That assumption isn't a new one. The Nazis thought it was a great idea. So, as seen, conscription is morally reprehensible, potentially completely destructive to families and people's lives, and stands a very good chance of failing because people simply refuse to do it. Thank you.